Surprise, I still exist. It has been a frigging long time, and I apologise. I've got so much stuff I want to do and shoot videos on, but as pretty much all of you probably know already, like, life is just so busy, so expensive, and things like this, unfortunately, I just do not have the time to kind of film stuff and edit and whatever. But basically, you're already here because of the title of the video. We are finally going to wrap up the 2LTE, basically progression in my LN130 Surf. So for those of you who've been watching from kind of the beginning, since I got this vehicle in particular, you will have seen the kind of progression of mods, and especially, I mean, this is focused mainly on power mods, just to make this engine perform the best that it can. The last significant one that I did, which may even be the last video, I don't even want to look how long ago that was. It's probably quite scary. I'd say a year at least. But I basically managed to fit and get all the electronics and everything working, a CT16V variable geometry turbo from the 1KD engine on the 2L, and that's made a big difference. So basically, I'm actually going to be heading to the dyno, and Ben's going to throw it on the dyno. Thankfully, he's got a little bit of a break between his jobs today, so we can throw it on, we can get a power figure. He may be able to tweak things a little bit. The tune is pretty good. I basically left the factory, well, not the factory, but the previous tune that Ben had in there, fuel wise and timing wise, and then I've just kind of fine-tuned the turbo, position map basically to a point where it drives pretty nice. But as you can see in front of me, you keen-eyed viewers will see that this is a new engine, and this engine is going in the Surf, and this is a 1KZ that I've basically rebuilt completely. I've actually mocked up the VNT turbo on this, which that's another video, but yeah, basically this is going in that. So I need to wrap up the saga with the 2LTE, go from, woe to go, see how well we did, what improvements were made, so you guys can finally get some closure, I can get some closure, and move on to something with a bit more cubes, because that engine's too highly strung, especially when I put a trailer behind it. It's just, not happening. So basically, I'm going to shoot over to Ben's shop, which he shares with Tom, TC Performance and Diesel, and yeah, we'll throw it on the dyno. I'll try to get as much footage as I can, and yeah, I'll see you guys shortly, and hopefully it doesn't take me a year to get this video out, so fingers crossed. So, quick recap for those of you who may not have been following on from the beginning. Basically, it's a stock unopened 2LTE engine, water to air intercooled with the radiator here. I do have a 10-litre tank in the back with lines that run under the car. What else? Obviously, I've back to the factory airbox, which I've modified to take a 4-inch inlet and a 3-inch outlet, and also managed to cram it in here because obviously I've got my water to air heat exchanger here. So yeah, also snorkel's already done. Also, I have done a 4-inch snorkel, whereas before I had a 3-inch. So there was a little bit of an intake restriction with the boost I was running with the 3-inch, mainly because of all these tight bends to kind of get it in. So by going to the 4-inch, it is pretty well eliminated anything that I'm concerned about anyway. So yeah, because obviously with these tight radius bends, you lose a lot of airflow or fluid dynamics through the bend, because it kind of the air wants to cut the corner and kind of hit the back. So that should be sufficient for the 1KZ as well. The main thing is which you probably can't see too well, but custom turbo manifold to sit that CT16V variable geometry turbo in there. It has been working absolutely amazing. I've probably put like 10,000 Ks or so. I mean, this car doesn't get driven all that much, only for trips basically. So it's been really good. I killed one turbo, which is actually over on that engine there, from overspeeding, but I'm back to a standard frame turbo now. So the other one was a high flow, but with this small of a displacement engine and inefficient head, I was having to drive the turbo too hard to get the boost I needed. So going back to a stock CT16V actually works really well for the 2.4 litre 2LTE engine. And for those who are wondering what this curly copper is, that's a exhaust manifold pressure sensor. So basically this tube is to bleed off any heat from the exhaust manifold. As you can see, it picks up there next to my EGT. So then that goes to a canister which has a 0 to 100 PSI kind of standard pressure sensor, which I've got on a input on one of my JRP gauges in the cab. And then obviously the cooling mods that I've done with the KZM 165 rad, the 10 blade rad fan, that also made a big difference. I've also added an oil cooler. I can't really show any of that stuff, but that has also helped. So the car is kind of the best it's ever been. So it'd be good to see what improvements are made on the dyno before I pull this engine out and put the 3 litre 1KZ in. All right guys, so we made it here, one piece. No surprise, but we're at TC Performance and Diesel. We got Benny, the Bengineer himself, down there, strapping the car down to the dyno. On the way here, just watching the back pressure, like full throttle. It's looking pretty good, 1-to-1, like 25, 26 pound of boost. So it'll be interesting to see what it makes in controlled conditions on the dyno. We got Brett here as well, which you also haven't seen for probably a very long time. And this is his new 105 with a FTE. So the red 80's gone, moved on to bigger and better things. Yeah, definitely needs to up the tyre and wheel package, but
yeah, she's a bit obvious.
It's got the good foundations. Ben is going to give Brett's car a run after the Surf because Brett has got a Unichip going on, so that should free up a lot of power and make it nice to drive like the 80 was.
Yeah, front mount, 3-inch exhaust and stock fueling.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen your front mount set up yet.
Yeah.
I'll have a look in a sec. And then there's the man himself. Still looks the same. No bushy beard like us. But yeah, should I do the obligatory dyno prequel and estimates for what we're going to hit? Not that I care about peak power, but what do you think?
You said it now.
Well, I mean, this engine's coming out, so...
So what were you at before? We were at around about 70.
Yeah, on 33s.
I reckon 85.
85 kilowatt?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
The torque will be the main thing. And yeah, pretty much with this car, it's all about, for me, 1 to 2,000. Or 1 to, say, 3,000. But that's where I want the power.
Yeah.
So the VNT hopefully it'll be interesting to see how much earlier on that, no, you probably can't see, but how much earlier on the chart that boost can come on. I don't think it's going to be all that much because I think the head is a restriction. I'm guessing you probably think the same. I know you said there's also like a weird factory fuel cut, like a defueling thing down low in the ECU that you got to kind of overcome.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But I think you can test all the different parts of the intake with a pressure probe, so we can see is it restrictive before the turbo, after the turbo.
Yeah. Well, I've got pressure measuring from the turbo to airbox. So yeah, I mean there's a little bit of vacuum there, but I don't think it's anything to worry about. It's definitely, we'll see.
Vacuum's vacuum though.
Yeah. I mean, I've run it with an open filter and it didn't really make any difference, so yeah, I can't really make that any better. So the main thing is going from open filter to the 4-inch snorkel, it's still pretty much the same, so yeah. Enough speculating, let's rip in, yeah. Have a go at this fancy pants. He's got remote desktop on the iPad, which conveniently mounts in my RAM mount. Not bad. Work smart, not hard. Bit of back pressure there. There was a bit of back pressure there. May need to start opening up that turbo.
Taking heaps of fuel out from the bottom, it cleans up really quickly now.
No, it's because all that extra boost.
Oh, okay, yeah. So the fuel's untouched?
Fuel untouched.
So this run we've just opened up the turbo a little bit more up top to try and drop the boost and the back pressure. So back pressure is already like 1.3 to 1, which is pretty good. Still keeping the similar power level, which is good. But is that heat fatter?
Interestingly, your boost pressure, back pressure is similar in the exhaust, but the manifold has dropped it.
So mixtures up top are good.
Mixtures up top are good. So if we just say 18 AFR, so from 2800 up you can increase the fuel and still stay under, stay leaner than 18s.
Okay.
So that basically from there to there is how much fuel you can add, and down below that's why you're getting smoky, because the mixtures are getting...
Yeah. Is it easy enough for you to pull some fuel out down low? Yeah. I have a feeling it might be, you might be able to pull like 10% out and it'll probably give the same,
well,
same reading but less hot.
Okay, so 2800, we'll go 2800 and above, we'll add some fuel.
Seemed a lot better smoke-wise.
Made more power.
Cleaner down here. Didn't really change the mixtures up top. You might be out of pump.
Possibly. 79 kilowatt, just about.
Yeah.
Not bad.
So it started to, once we pulled the fuel out there, it started to play around with your
Boost
curve.
Yeah, I guess that's the only downfall to having it basically open loop, because it's not actually using a PID to correct it based on the real world condition.
You're way too rich down here. You're in your 15s. That's where you get real smoky.
Can you pull a little bit more out there quickly and see, like, what you did then? Did it negatively impact boost?
Well, that's your boost curve, so it's basically...
apart from that little dip there.
Yeah, so that dotted line's your curve, so boost curve. So it basically didn't do anything. It did lose a little bit of boost here at 28, but...
Should probably maybe put it back in there and try pull some more out down low and see if it'll lean the mixture out but keep the same kind of numbers. All right, so Ben's just pulled some more fuel out down low, so we'll see if we can kind of keep the same boost and power curve but lean the mixture out a tiny bit.
So boost is pretty much the same. Sorry, your mixtures are pretty much the same on top. And your boost has dropped. AFRs have dropped.
All right, so just finished up on Brett's car. The Surf was pretty good. I think this is, what would you say, this is kind of the max. I mean, you could probably play around and try fudge another couple of kilowatts out up top, but
On the Surf?
yeah, but
Yeah,
I'd say that's the
you're
max.
pretty much at the peak that you're going to get reliably. Like, we could play around a few little things and you get 1 or 2 runs that will be really good, but you wouldn't be able to sustain that. You know, the heat would build up, boost would go down, and things like that.
Yeah. So I guess the main thing that everyone wants to see, and myself included, is how the VNT compares to the previous gated turbo. So some graphs that we prepared earlier.
Yeah, so we've got 3 different graphs here. So the red one is with the non-VNT. So the line with the dots on it, that's the boost, and that's the power. The green is as driven in today, so many hours ago, and then the blue is as we finished up for the day.
Yeah, so pretty much previously with the gated CT20 factory turbo, that same tune fuel and timing wise, but with the VNT turbo, and then with some slight revisions to the tune with the same VNT turbo. So, what are we looking at? We got power and manifold or boost pressure.
Yeah, so we got power, so that's rear wheel kilowatts, and the top section here, and then down here we've got the manifold boost pressure, and what we can see is it's pretty much the same up to 2750. So that's down here. So a little bit of a difference, but nothing major, all about the same. And then that's where things start to make a difference. So here we've got 268, let's round it up and be generous, 269 kilowatts peak. But we can also see that either side of the peak, it's quite a lot less. So it rises up to the peak and then quickly falls away again. And you can feel that on the road.
Yeah, which would be just back pressure. Like obviously that's the peak, what the turbine housing can flow, would you say that? And then from there on, it's just a restriction, which we did actually see with the VNT.
Yeah, I'd say it's all kinds of efficiencies or inefficiencies. So the air temperature getting quite hot, so much less air density going into the cylinder, which less oxygen, as well as more restriction in the back pressure with that turbo configuration. So then once we get into the VNT, we can see that it comes on a lot earlier, so much more boost, and it also carries that all the way through without having a huge increase in temperatures as well as back pressure.
Yeah, so from memory, this run, which is the run that was the previous fuel and timing tune just with the VNT and the VNT map that I'd kind of roughed out, I think the back pressure was pretty good up to about, probably around this point. It was pretty much 1 to 1. And then you saw the back pressure start to get, like 1.5 to 1 or something. So I think the main thing here was we started really opening the turbo, the turbine side up to let it flow some more, which still kind of gave diminishing returns, would you say? I mean, it definitely made it better.
Yeah, so let's back it up a little bit. With a diesel, a lot of times when you see a gain of that type, where it's the same 2 lines but it's higher, a lot of times that can be fuel. So they just put more fuel and you get more power, of course. But what you notice here is that that's not the case because the AFRs are pretty much the same. There is a little bit of difference, but not a massive amount of difference that would account for that type of gain. And that's one of the things you can see a lot of times with VNTs. More boost isn't always a better outcome. So you're driving the VNT harder, or driving the turbo harder through the VNT, and you're increasing the boost pressure. So you've got a much higher boost pressure here, but that corresponds with an increased back pressure. And having too much back pressure isn't good for the turbo, but also inhibits the cylinder breathing. So you're not able to get as much of the exhaust out with that back pressure, and then that's going to dilute your charge for the next incoming cycle. So you've actually got less oxygen, and of course then you're going to make less power.
It's a real fine line. Like just in myself tuning the VNT map, just on the street, like I could feel when it was too closed, the engine was choked out. So yeah, VNT is good, but it takes a lot more work to get it, especially in an open loop system like this. Obviously factory, like on a 1KD, it's running through a PID, so it's closed loop and it's always targeting something, whereas this is all manual set and it does what you tell it until you change it, basically.
Well, having more adjustment also gives you the scope to adjust things that into a position that's not optimal as well. Whereas a gated turbo, you will also start to have those issues as well, but it's the relationship's really tied to how much manifold boost pressure you're going to have. Whereas here you're changing the AR ratio of the turbo, so
well, that's right.
Different efficiency points for
which
different positions.
Yeah, which can then change how the engine, reacts in all different ways as well. Yeah. So I guess what percentage-wise, while we're on the power graph, what percentage have we picked up from, I guess, firstly from the last tune to the previous gated? I mean, you can already see the power difference there, but what is that in a percentage? Can you?
Yeah, so I guess there's different ways to compare it percentage. One of the ways is to compare it at a certain RPM, what's the percentage difference? And other ways to compare it is peak to peak, even though they might be different RPMs. But here the peak is pretty close together, RPM-wise, compared to here, so we can just do that by having a look at it there. It's going to be pretty close for the percentage, and we're looking at 21% going to the red. So
Okay, so that's a fair bit on such a low powered engine. Interesting. And then can you flick over to torque and have a look at?
Just before we do that, the other thing that's also interesting, by lowering the boost, so coming from say here, which was 26, and lowering that down to 24, we've also picked up power, and that is 10% or so that we've picked up. So,
which they say you will feel 10% plus in the seat generally.
I suppose it just depends how sensitive your butt is.
Pretty good, yeah.
So,
okay, I mean, we're talking like this engine doesn't make a lot of power, but in all relativity, it's actually pretty good. And I think you guessed 85 kilowatt it would.
I did. You have to hit rewind and see.
Yeah, we didn't strap it down to get max power numbers, but that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. Well, you can also see, all the temperatures and the temperature correction. It's all pretty stable as well. So there's no fudging in the numbers. We just want to see repeatably what it was before and what it is now.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to have a look at torque?
Yeah. Let's see what the torque. Because that's really what you feel, isn't it?
So here we go, we've got torque here. And of course it makes sense, the power showed the same message here, that below 2750, not really much difference. And then that starts to make a bigger difference as we get to that 3000, early 3000 RPM range. And same sort of thing, so of course, power and torque is all related relative to engine speed. So you can see that half of that gain came from the change to the VNT and then optimizing the VNT. So basically, if we just take it as a percentage in the area that has the biggest gain, which is probably there, from a torque perspective, we're looking at 20 3.5%.
Wow, okay, yeah. That's, you know, you're not going to laugh at that. Like that's a pretty sizable gain.
Yeah.
For something that was already like this, remember this gated turbo tune, that was like the engine maxed.
Yeah.
And this is just putting a VNT turbo, allowing it to be the optimal flow through the turbo basically at all engine conditions, and it's picked up that just from doing that. So I'm pretty happy. I mean, the engine's coming out now, but for everyone at home who's been asking me what power did it make, we've finally done it. So thank you Ben for squeezing me in and doing this. Now I can put this whole 2L saga to bed. I mean, I love this engine. It's been great, but I need more cubes.
I think there's other things to talk about as well with the setup. So if you have a look at this particular dyno run, this is one dyno run. So we start from a pretty neutral position in terms of the temperatures are all stable and all pretty reasonable. And then we run it at a certain ramp rate all the way up to red line. So if we have a look at this, so what we're looking at, it takes about 5 seconds to run the dyno run, yeah? And the big question is, with the old turbo, if you were accelerating and you were just pulling up a really long hill, it's going to be more than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It's going to be at that 1 RPM or around about there, and you're just going to hold it. And so if you run the turbo in a range that's really inefficient, you're just going to get that heat build up, and that intake temperature is going to fall. It's going to heat
and
in the cooler.
With that turbo, you could literally hear the air cavitating.
Yeah,
Like
so
it sounded horrible.
there's a lot more to
The
this.
previous turbo, that is, yeah.
Yeah, so if you just ran it and we could do a test, and let's say we ran it for 10-15 seconds at a particular load zone and just went for it and then see where the temperature ends up, that would also be a big differentiator between the two turbos.
Yeah.
And the VNT would be able to handle that without decreasing performance as much.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've said earlier in this video series and this video even, I've done a fair bit of mileage on this turbo in this configuration.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like, it's the best the car has ever been. So now it's going to be even better. I'll probably hopefully do one more trip before I kind of rip in and pull the engine out and swap it. But yeah, it's...
I think the other thing as well is that heat that the turbo's generating when you're running it for a long time, when it's not efficient, that heat's also going into the oil. And so your engine oil temperatures are going up. It's not as good for the...
yeah, exactly what I was saying.
and all that
Yeah.
sort of stuff. But one other thing, so, you know, people can always ask about the corrections and what the Newton meters and all of that is. It does depend on the wheel size and what you've corrected for from inertia and things like that. So one of the numbers that's really good to look at is the tractive effort. So the tractive effort number itself isn't as easy to relate to, but it's actually the force that's applied at the road surface. So that accounts for different wheels and all that sort of stuff. So when you're comparing different setups, that's actually, and even different cars, because it doesn't actually matter effectively what the Newton meters are at the engine, it's what do you end up with at the wheel.
Yeah, so
And at the road
it
surface.
flattens the playing field, like it's
Well, if you
an
compare two
equal
cars,
reference.
how are they going to accelerate, how are they going to pull, then it's the newtons in terms of tractive effort on the road surface that's going to make the difference. So
And I can already see just from a quick glance how much further this curve starts forward than the previous one.
yeah, so your point of difference really pulls back. And there are going to be differences from optimizing the turbo position and also the fuel mixtures as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because we basically, what we did was we pulled a lot of fuel out down here at the bottom because it was making negligible difference. It was just super rich AFRs. And then we ended up also opening the turbo up top. Did we add any more fuel up top? We just left it how it was.
No, we just optimized the VNT.
Yeah, so yeah, we could have tried to put more fuel in and got more VNT or taken more VNT angle out. But yeah, it's just, I don't care about this. It's more, for this car, I want like as much in this low down area. But I think this engine just cannot flow it. It's simple as that. It's a 2.4 probably inefficient head design. It loves to rev, but
Yeah.
it's no good when you're trying to crawl off road
Yeah.
or tow up a steep hill.
I
So
think you could make it your life's work to optimise the head and the cam and all that sort of stuff. That would probably lead to a short life for you and the engine. But, it might be time to close that chapter and move to the 1KZ.
oh, it is. It definitely is. Awesome. I think it's pretty impressive. Yeah, it has actually been a long time. So maybe see you in another few years. Although you'll have to do the KZ.
Yeah.
So that will hopefully be this year.
Okay.
I'll be disappointed if it's not.
Should always get used to disappointment.
Yeah, it's kind of the limiting thing for me taking the family away. So
Yeah.
it needs to happen.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, guys, time to go home. Big thank you to Benny. Any of your tuning needs, Unichip stuff, you know where to find him. Bengineered and TC Performance. So,
And you'll all get in the way of his 1KZ.
oh well, you can always say no. All right,
See you next time.
see you guys.